Hey Excel warriors, last week I made a video explaining how you only really need to know 4 functions in order to compete in Excel Esports. But it turns out I was wrong. Before we jump into that though, in case you're new here, hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Elliot and I make videos all about Microsoft Excel. Over the past few years I've gone from an Excel beginner to reaching the final 32 in last year's Microsoft Excel World Championship. This year I'm hoping to get all the way to the Grand Finals live in Las Vegas. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to follow along with my journey, because I'm sharing everything I know as well as what I'm doing to prepare for this year's competition so that we can excel together. So what went wrong in the last video? As I was going over the footage, editing the video, I realised something. You don't need 4 functions, you only need 1. Today I'm going to try and solve Peter Scharl's Sommelier case using only 1 function, XLookup. I'm not going to start from scratch. I'm going to take what I did last time and edit that to try and get to a full solution. I'm not 100% sure it's possible, but I'm going to give it my best shot, so follow along for the journey and we're going to try and really push XLookup to its limits to solve the entire thing with just that 1 function. Okay folks, I'm going to be building on my solution from last time, which is this one here, rather than starting from scratch. The same rules apply from last time, so this time I'm only allowed to use XLookup as a named function, but operators are still allowed, so plus, minus, times, divide, ampersand if I need to concatenate anything, and unary operator. Likewise, named range is absolutely fine. I have some named ranges from last time. They are just named ranges, they're not calculations, so they don't count. Before we jump in, I am just going to try and come up with a way to make sure that I know if we have got one of these other functions in there. So we want isNumber search abs in formula text of A1. So that should highlight anything where abs is in the formula with red. See if that worked. Almost worked. Let's try that, see if that works. There we go, that's looking more like it. Oh, why's that one? That's not one of my calculations. That looks like it's shipped with the case. That's really funny. I don't know whether it's shipped with just the answer one or if it's shipped in the live case. That's really funny. What was I doing? Manage rules. So we want this whole thing, but we want to wrap it in an OR. Abs sum and by row. There we go. So that should highlight in red anywhere where I have used a function. Loads of them. Loads of them, though. Some over here as well, I'm sure. Yeah, there we go. I did think about trying to just... Oh, and this one obviously doesn't count because that's the calculation of the score. I did think about trying to just find and replace anything that had those things in it, but I wanted something a bit more dynamic, so conditional formatting it is. Thank God for the formula text function. Let's jump in then. Level 1 already was just a 2-way XLookup, so nothing to worry about. Number 2 is a little bit more complicated because we need the absolute value. So if we take the absolute value out of here, then the problem is we're going to get negative numbers. That's not calculated properly. There we go. We're going to get negative numbers, which leads to wrong results. That would also be a wrong result. There we go. So we could do this by creating a list of all the numbers of 1 to 100 and then seeing if they're in that list and returning one if they're in that list and minus one if they're not on the list, and then using that to multiply by. So that would work. Is there a simpler way of doing this? Okay, that's going to be my backup option. I think even more simply, we can just look up this value against just the value 1, returning number 1, minus 1, minus 1. So what this is doing is looking up minus 19 against the number 1. If it is a match, it's returning a 1. If it's not a match, it goes to match mode, where it tries to match the next smallest number. So anything bigger than 1 will match against this one and return this one. And anything that's still not found because it's less than 1 should return a minus 1. That is my thinking. Get that all the way down there. That is looking good. So then if we just times that by the original value, we should get the answer that we're looking for. Yeah, excellent. Okay. This one we need to compare all the wines against a particular attribute for a particular person. So instead of abs in here, we're just going to do that same trick again. We can just do it on this outside bit here. So we take this whole thing and copy it. I'm going to do it in line this time. So we're going to times that whole thing by XLookup of the same thing. 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1. Cool, same answer, correct answer. Excellent. There we go. You can do absolute value using XLookup. Impress your colleagues with this one not so simple trick. Level 4 then, the sum of the absolute values across all the attribute pairings. So let's pop this out to here. If we take the sum off of it, we know how to solve this situation because all we have to do is take the abs off without taking the equals off, copy the whole thing, times XLookup of the whole thing, 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1. Let's just check all these values. 54, 26, 71, 96, 4, 54, 26, 21. Okay, so this is not right because that 6 is turning into a 96. Why is that? That is because this whole thing needs brackets around it because I'm only multiplying that second value based on the two together. There we go, excellent. And we can turn this really sneakily into this, plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this. Okay. These come down to here. This comes down to there. Bish bash bosh. We don't need to worry about that because that's an example, but we can just... There we go. Magic. Level 5, the best wine is the smallest sum of absolute difference across all attributes between the customer and the wine. So before we did this by looking up 0 because they're absolute values, so they can't be less than 0, and then by row. Okay, I'm going to pull this bit out a second, and that's spilling because of those. Can we just XLookup this whole thing? Will that work? Yeah, so it should be negative values first and last and last. Okay. So if we did the same trick then, that times XLookup of that. 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1. Do those match? Yes, they do. And now we need to solve this by row thing. We need to sum across the rows. So we could actually just do this column by column, couldn't we? So there are 100 wines from B3 to F102. And then the customers are the same. So... if we replace this then with wines B3 to B102, that's what I said, wasn't it? Make sure we lock them both, not just one. Replace that. Replace that. So that's the first column. And then if we just duplicate this, so there's 5 of them. And then we can replace these so they go for each one, and then we're just doing it for each column, and we are then adding it up. So nice and easy. That's not right. There we go. C, C, D, 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 oh, no, E, F, F, E, F, F, E, E, D, D, C, C. And then we can take this whole thing and pop it where that used to be. There we go. Right answer. Beautiful. This next one, we then do the same as 2 levels above as level 4, but we use this table to score things rather than using the absolute value. So let's bring this down here. Whoops. And now we want to XLookup. Ooh, got my caps lock up and holding the thing. XLookup of this whole thing within this, returning this with -1. These should sum up to be -15, and then this just needs to be this plus this plus this plus this plus this. Excellent. Cool. Level 7 is then using this to do what we did here. So we're going to copy this down to here. And we're going to pop that on a new line and wrap this XLookup in there with -1. And then we just need to replicate these on all of these. Move that out the way. And add one of these to each of them. There we go, and that has given us the wrong answer. So why has that given us the wrong answer? Right, yeah. So last time we had the same issue because we're now doing things which can get below 0. We were looking up 0. We now need to look up something smaller than 0. We use -1,000. I think it can just be -50, but let's stick with -1,000 because that's what we did before, so we know it works. Oops, there we go. Okay, so far so good. Level 8. So level 8, level 8's really easy then. If we've got this sorted, then we just do this. Let's add a couple of zeros for good measure. And then we do this whole thing in brackets times by 5 plus price. So price is just the name I've used for all the prices of the wine in order. You can see that in the previous video, which is why we've got this here. This whole question is just asking us to times it by 5 and add the price. So that should then give us index rows and all of those. There we go. This is one of the bonuses, so we'll come back to that in a minute. But for now, that's levels, all the levels completed with nothing but XLookup. Bonus 1 is how many customers are not listed in levels 2 through 5. So this was the sum of this. So that's the sum of that. So that's the problem. So we want, if we change this to be this, that will give us a 1 for the first one, and then we want to have a running total. So we do that there, pop that down like this, and then we just take the final value. That one. I don't know why we've got extra values there. That's not what we want. So that should be 44. 44. Excellent. This one uses this one. Okay. But this is basically the same thing here. So we just want to change this to be what it is already plus the one above. I wanted to follow it down because I wanted to see 224. So this should just be AD 224. Same answer, same answer. Okay, level 5 rules. So this looks up stuff here. Okay, right, so first things first, the easier bit. I think they're both pretty easy. We've done most of the work. Woohoo! Whoops! What went on there? Try that again. This is just doing the same as what the one above was, so we can just make this do what we did above, which is this, this, and then this equals this, and then these just get filled in. There we go. And this was level 5 rules. So level 5 rules were this one. So if we copy that there, that should automatically, there we go. None of those are red. That's still correct. Bonus 4 was this one here, which we actually didn't use anything but XLookup for anyway, so we did a bunch of it manually. And then bonus 5 is this one here, I think. Yeah, this one there. So this one wanted the most expensive bottle of wine for anyone using level 8's rules. So let's start by just popping level 8's rules in. It was a multiple line formula. There we go. Level 8's rules in there, and we want just a list of all the prices. But I want it for aiding cats. There we go, try that. So why is this not working? There we go, pop that there. We don't care about that. And we don't care about that. We just want a list of prices. So that's a list of prices for aiding cats, and then we want to look up in this. We want to look up something really big. Looking up this, returning from this using -1. That gives us hopefully the same list as before, because now when we go up here, there we go, same answer, and now we have got full points just using XLookup. The only place not using XLookup in the whole thing, the only bit of red, was that sum product at the end. There we go. Amazing. Turns out you only need to know this one formula for Excel Esports. There we go, folks. The whole thing solved using just XLookup. It turns out you just need to know this one function to compete in Excel Esports. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any queries as to how I came up with these solutions, please drop me a comment down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching. See you next time. And until then, keep excelling.